So we'll be moving on to understand the names of the black keys. And you know, the black keys literally got their names from the white keys. And before we go into the names of the black keys, I want to explain some concepts. First on the list of concepts to explain is the word sharp. Sharp, to sharpen a key simply means to increase the length, or yes, to increase the length of the key by the notes by one semitone. If we want to sharpen this note now, we increase its value by one semitone. I hope you can see my hand. I hope you understand. So a semitone, I think I should explain what a semitone is. So a semitone is basically the distance between two keys, the shortest distance between two keys. You can see the notes arranged here, the white keys and the black keys. The way they are arranged is not that this white key comes after this white key comes this white key. No. After this white key comes this black key. So if I want to touch all the keys on this keyboard, going stepwise, I'll have to touch this. The next key is this. The next one 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 is this. So to understand what sharps are, if you want to sharpen these notes, you raise its value by one semitone, which is moving from here to here. And this is important in understanding the names of the black keys, because the black keys simply got their names from the white keys. And like I've explained, this is C. The white key in front of every set of two black keys is C. The name of this black key will be C sharp. That is because I raised the value of C by one semitone. Remember the definition of sharps. I raised the value of C by one semitone. So this is called C sharp. And that's how all the black keys got their names. D, this is key D, remember, from the names of white keys. And this black key here would be D sharp. Why? Because I raised the value of D by one semitone. We remember the definition of semitone. Semitone is the distance, the shortest distance between two keys. So by raising D, the value of D by one semitone, I get D sharp. You notice there is no black key between E and F. Let me go back to my slide. CE here, CF. There is no black key between E and F here. There is no black key here. So the distance between E and F is one semitone. So this is E and this is F. This is F sharp, this is G, this is G sharp, this is A, this is A sharp. So we've learned the first term in the list of three terms to understand before we know the names of the black keys. So the second term now is the word flats, which is the direct opposite of sharps. To sharpen is to increase by one semitone. To flatten is to decrease by one semitone. So intuitively, you should now know that every black key has two names. There are sharp names and there are flat names. I will explain this term, which is enharmonic equivalence, in the next slide. I turned on the next slide to show you the names of the black keys on this diagram. So the black keys have two names. Like I mentioned, if this is C, this is C sharp, right? Because you increase the value of C by one semitone. You literally sharpened C. So this is C sharp, this is D sharp, this is F sharp, this is G sharp, this is A sharp, and so on and so forth. In the same way, to flatten D by one semitone, you get a D flat. To flatten E by one semitone, you get an E flat, and so on and so forth. So to go back to my other slide, I said I would explain the meaning of the term enharmonic equivalence. So therefore, C sharp and D flat are enharmonic equivalents. It's just a fancy musical name to describe a tone that has two different names. F sharp, this is the tone produced when you play F sharp, and it's the same tone produced when you play G flat. So F sharp and G flat are N harmonic equivalents because it's the same tone, but it has two names. Hope you understand. It is the same tone but two names. The same tone but two names. So lastly, we'll be moving on to the final topic for today, which is understanding where middle C is. I've shown us where C is on the piano. It is the white key in front of every set of two black keys. This is C, this is C, this is C. And like I mentioned, the piano in front of me, the keyboard in front of me, is a standard keys piano. It means it has 88 keys. So middle C is the C right in the middle of the piano, which is this. And it is also the fourth C. We call it C4. And it's important to note where middle C is because it will guide you in reading music as we continue in this lesson. This is middle C. And in case the keyboard you're using doesn't have 7 octaves or 88 keys, you can identify middle C by this tone. As I go to the right of the piano, the sound C produces gets brighter or gets higher in pitch. So middle C is not this C. Middle C is not this C. This is middle C, which is the fourth C on the keyboard, the piano keyboard. Let's count. This is the first C, this is the second C, this is the third C, and this is the fourth C. So middle C is C4 on the keyboard. So having gone through this class, we'll be doing a summary of what we've learned so far. So we started this lesson by defining the black key arrangements. I showed you that the piano keyboard is not just a bunch of notes littered around. The piano keyboard has an arrangement, and the black key helps us to see this arrangement. The black keys are arranged in groups of 2s and 3s. And then we define what an octave is. I simply defined it. The musical term of an octave is from a note to the very next note with the same letter name. However, a better way to visualize an octave is a group of 2 and 3 black keys. So this chunk right here is an octave. This chunk right here is an octave. And remember, we counted the number of octaves on this keyboard, which were 7 in number. And I mentioned that your keyboard at home might have, may not be up to 7 octaves. It might be 4, it might be 5, it might be 3, depending on what the keyboard is made for, the function of the keyboard. So we went on to name the white keys. The white keys, the names of the white keys, and they are gotten their names from the musical alphabet, which is from letter A to letter G. There is no H in the musical alphabet. And since you know intuitively that this is C, because it's the white key before every set of 2 black keys, if this is C, then this is D, E, F, G, A, B. Then we start over. This is C again. Then lastly, I showed you where middle C is on the keyboard. This right here is middle C. C4 is middle C. So now that we've come to the end of this lesson, I would want you to go over this lesson more than once and take note of the lesson outcomes. As we go on in this course, I'll be telling you the lesson outcomes before every lesson and after every lesson. And this is what it will help you do. You can just take a screenshot of the lesson outcomes, and while you're going about your business, you can look at the lesson outcomes. If you can't explain it without going back to the lesson, then you've not learned it, you've not internalized it. So I want you to go over every lesson outcome as you go over this course, as you go through this course. Go over every lesson outcomes. Put it before you. You can watch the video again. You can go online and make researches and most importantly, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the very next video.